Hello fellow DIYers and focus owners. Today I'm going to show you how you can kind of refurbish a number plate light that is this thingy. And the problem usually with these thingies is these contacts get corroded, and the solution I came up with is something like this. And it works kind of like this. Yeah, and I'm able to break it loose without causing a short circuit on the battery. So the idea here is to remake these two contacts so they fit the wires, those pin thingies that come over, and to solder some LEDs and a 1 kilo ohm. Well, ideally it would be an 820 ohm resistor, but I only had a 1 kilo ohm. So you solder those two between, and you are left with a working number plate light. Now what I'm really thinking about is to cover this whole thing up with silicone and maybe with some dielectric grease or silicone grease or whatever they are called. So yeah, today I'm going to show you how you can make this one. To start, you will need to disassemble this part, and first things first, you will need to remove the LED or the halogen bulb. Then you can remove these two things, but be careful, they have these small tabs that hook into these holes, those holes, and doesn't let you pull it out. And after you've disassembled it, you will have this plastic piece only with this rubber garment or protector. You will need to clean this part as well as you can with alcohol. I use this. This is a 96% alcohol, but if you want to get real hardcore, you can use isopropyl alcohol that is like 99%. What the hell does it say? Oh, it doesn't matter. But you need this part as transparent as you want, as you can. Okay, next part would be to get a piece of copper. I got this piece of copper from my uncle, who is an electrician, and he had these conductors for big electrical cabinets, and I cut the insulation, and I got a few copper plates. You can buy it in the hardware store, I guess. So yeah, after that you will need to pick one of these two and place it on the copper, draw around it. Make sure you keep the dimensions, especially for this pin thingy, because this is where the cable hooks up to it. And after that you will need to use a pair of whatever cutters. What are these called? Sheet metal snips, whatever, to cut around it. So I will first draw out the two elements, and then I will show you how you can cut it. So I went ahead and draw with these scratchy things on the copper. I'm not sure how well you can see the drawings, but it doesn't really matter. So now I will use these sheet metal snips, whatever they are called, cut out basic shape. Oh, by the way, it might be a good idea to use some gloves when you're working with any kind of sheet metal, because of how it has a tendency to bend when you cut it, and it can cut your hands. And so this is kind of our basic shape. Let me bring it closer, if you can see. And I will need to straighten it out. So now that is straight. Drept Dumnezeu. But yeah. I will go ahead and take just a little bit of it. And we'll need to try it with the wiring harness. So let's see if it fits. Well, it doesn't really fit. So you will need to take a file and file it down, well, depending on how well you cut. For that I recommend using a vise. I have a vise over here, but you cannot see that. Sorry, I couldn't place the camera. Okay, so let me file this part down and I will be right back. Okay, so after you made this part fit into the lug pin thingy, you will need to take your original, place it over, and you will use a punch to make a small sign. After that, give it a few more hits, and you will need to drill a hole because of how the connector pin thingy hooks up to this part. If you don't have the hole, it can fall out. So I will use my drill. And here we go. Trying it out again with the wiring harness. And it should kind of click into place. And now it will not come apart that time. Okay, after that you will need to make it fit into, let me see. Let me compare it with my other one I did, because there I did pay more attention to which was which part. So if you hold it like this with the thingy on the right, the part with the wider thing should come to the right. Now you will need to make this part fit, so you might need to file down these two edges depending on what you have, and you will need to cut in a notch on the bottom. So let me, hopefully you can see it, so it can clear that part. Okay, so here we are. It kind of fits more or less, but I will need glue right over here so I can bend the most of this material down inward, just as it is on this one. Oh, by the way, I might have messed up with this one, because I think this goes in like so. This is the front of the car and this is the back. It goes in like so, and these are towards the exterior. I might have to redo these towards the interior, but yeah, do them the correct way, I guess. Yeah, so you will need a saw or a stone that you will grind a groove into this. So now I went ahead and cut a groove into this, as you can see over here, and I will go ahead and use a pair of pliers and bend this part down. So now I made the two parts fit. That was the idea based on the original. Now I will need to draw and cut out another one of these, but for the other side. I won't bore you with the process once again, so yeah, see you in 2 seconds.
2 seconds later.
Okay, so this is where I'm at, kind of. Now the next step would be get some 3mm LEDs. Well, these depend on what you want to do, what color you want to use, and the space you have. In my case, I will use 3mm warm white LEDs. The forward voltage for these is, if I remember correctly, between 2.8 and 3.8 volts DC. So using 4 LEDs with a 1 kilo ohm resistor will be about enough. So the idea behind the resistor is to keep the LEDs powered with only 10 milliamps of current, because they will last much longer than with 20 milliamps. This highly depends on the LED, so don't get pissed off by the details I'm telling you. So yeah. Okay then, you will need to check the LEDs. There is a notch on the negative side, and you will need to place them kind of like so. Bend the legs and solder them together, and solder a 1 kilo ohm resistor to one side. Oh yeah, and by the way, you might want to test the LEDs to see if they work before you start. That works, that works, that works, and this also works. You can see them light up, and the multimeter should display the forward voltage. Now I will go ahead and solder the legs of the LEDs, as long as I can get some solder alright here. And so much stuff. So I did stick them down with some electrical tape, because they have a tendency to move, and it's hard to solder them. Okay, so after you're done soldering, you will need to cut off the remaining legs. But what was I saying? I think I was saying something about bending the 2 legs, and you will want to put them depending on, I think that this is going to be the negative part, because it's the black wire, and the other being the positive because it's the orangish wire. So you will need to do something like this, but have the LEDs more on the middle. That's why I said you might want to cut these off a bit more, depending on how many LEDs you want to add. So let me show you an example. I cut this thing off, and now it will not interfere with the LEDs that much, so I can move them a bit like so, and I will do with one of the legs like so, the other leg kind of like that, so it has a bit more room or surface area on the copper plate. And will come something like that. Don't forget to add the resistor. I'm actually going to go and bring one of those resistors, the 1 kilo ohm, and I'll be right back. So here we have the 1 kilo ohm resistor. I tape those pieces down so I can solder them. Together. And I think I will test the LEDs again, see if they still work after soldering. Works, and works. Okay, before I will solder them to that thingy, I will just to see if it works. Yes. And now that's the negative. That I have my resistor on the negative end of the LEDs, and because I think over there can't touch, I will bend the leg of the resistor something like that. I will add a piece of heat-shrink tubing over. Kind of like that, and let me get my heat gun. Now I can go ahead and bend the leg even further, kind of like so. And this is pretty much the position I want my LEDs to be in. More or less. And I will go ahead and solder them in place. You can even pre-clean the copper plate so you have an easier test of soldering. By the way, in case you think you solder them the wrong way or something like that, don't worry, you can reverse them. No problem. Kinda like that. Go ahead and trim the end. And this is where you will need to stop. Go down to your car or wherever you keep your car, probably in the garage. Test it out with your car. See if the polarity is correct. In case you need to change the polarity, you can turn the LEDs around. And if it's correct, just put silicone or hot glue over. Make sure you don't cover the heads of the LEDs, but cover almost everything in hot glue except these two leads, so you don't encounter any more corrosion problems along the way. And you might want to bend the LEDs if it is required. So yeah, this is pretty much it. Thanks a lot for watching. If you like this project, you can leave a like, you can subscribe, but only if you want. And by the way, I have Instagram links somewhere, possibly in the description, but you can surely find it on my channel page. Okay then, have a really nice day, and fare free.